name is Hugo Salido. I'm from Mexico. I'm from Guadalajara, Jalisco. I moved here to the United States when 11 years ago or so. And since then, I've been painting. The reason that I started painting it was because of cultural shocks. When I moved to the States, I didn't speak the language, and it was a shock, not be able to even order a burger. So that developed a lot of just things in my head, that it took me towards painting. Also, the way that Mexican culture and tradition is perceived here in the United States. What makes me also become an artist, just for the simple fact that there's a lot of misconceptions about Mexico, and just basically not really knowing and differentiating what we stand for, or what kind of art, or what kind of people we are, or what kind of culture we have. La Katrina, that's the name of this lady, which is based in colonial Spanish and Mexican colonization. When the Spaniards came to Mexico and colonized Mexico, a lot of the indigenous women, which they had privilege and power, lost everything because they weren't white. So they start wearing an excessive amount of makeup to appear more European, and wear the French, very elusive, the French hat, with feathers and the whole thing. So it became kind of like disguising themselves, from their roots, indigenous roots. I want to create a better understanding of Day of the Dead, first of all, and the way that I try to narrate is to bring back Mexican culture in a bit more modern era. There are many of my pieces around that they have different meanings of old Mexican colonial, like different styles, talavera, or mediums that I have here, like Cempasúchil. This is a painting about the flower of the dead, the Day of the Dead, and it brings just each painting has a different meaning, right? But some of them involve just bringing back a better understanding of Mexican culture. On other ones, bring back a better understanding of LGBT communities, the minorities. Language has a lot of influence in my perspective. And many other things. I also play with, I also use a lot loteria, which is like a Mexican bingo. And I have kind of create a technique where I use that, and it's a game that I was born with, and so I was raised as a little kid. Any Mexican will know what loteria is, So I use that to create a narrative view of Mexican modern art, basically. Well, being a gay man in Mexico has always been a struggle. First of all, because there is not a big understanding of gay culture in general. Yes, Mexico is a place where you can get married. Same-sex couples can get married, but honestly, it's not seen as well as in many other countries, right? There's still a lot of bullying. There's still a lot of problems, when coming out, or when being in schools, or anything. It is a problem. It's a cultural thing that is, since Mexico is very religious, very Catholic, being gay is synonym of, being, an evil person or going to hell or something like that. So that's one of the things that I try to do is make LGBT statements, that we are gay, we're men, we're women, we're transgender, we're whoever we are, and it's part who we are, The painting that I have behind it's a mushe. Mushes are, they're located in Oaxaca, which is a state in Mexico, and it's the only place in Oaxaca that's a state. And there is a small town where mushes exist. it's a male who grow up and decide to be a woman, and this is the only community in Mexico they actually are fine with it and accept it. It's actually it has a good connotation to be a mushe. It's basically a male who is gonna always be taking care of his family, and they actually look like me, but they wear elaborated hair flower pieces, or they will. I haven't finished this, but they wear skirts, and makeup and whatever, like a woman, but they still keep the identity as a man, and it is celebrated. When moving here, I really don't suffer a lot of discrimination because of my skin color. I am not the typical Mexican that you see. My grandmother is Greek, so that's why I probably don't have the Aztecan look. But even though when they hear you speak, they hear an accent, and immediately that's a target of discrimination. You're not from here, I don't want you here, or whatever, right? And then on top of that, you are gay, so sometimes you don't know if you're being discriminated for being gay, and sometimes you don't know if you're being discriminated for being Mexican or a foreigner or whatever. So it has been an obstacle, like anybody in the world that is gay or is from not here from the United States. And I have tried to put that energy into my work, doing different statements. For example, a painting that I have here is called Los Osos, the bears, and they're wearing jockstraps, and they are Catrines because it's the male version of Katrina, So it's two guys kissing, hugging, So they have two different colors, red and blue, and when they kiss, they create purple. So it is a statement, it is a why, it is a why are we doing this. There's many other things that I've been trying new. For example, I have silhouettes where I have someone just facing or giving the back to the canvas, and I project a light and I get their silhouette or their profile, and that way I can truly get their identity and translate whatever I'm trying to do, either inequality or racism, or anything that I could ever face, in my life. I try to put it there and just make a statement. There is a piece behind you that is called gender, and it has different figures from Loteria. And if you see it clearly, there is not a lot. There is, for example, just to mention one, there is the devil and a mermaid. That's a couple, and who is there to tell that that's not a couple? There is a soldier and a musician, and there's two women, there's, you don't know, and there's, at the end, there's two guys, but one of them looks more transgender. So who is there to judge who is a couple and who's not, right? I'm exhibiting 4 paintings at Chelsea, the District of Art in New York City. And it's gonna run until the 27th of this month, and I'm very proud of that. Maybe exhibiting in Los Angeles, that will be a good thing as well. Just educate people with Mexican culture and why are we standing here, and also from a LGBT perspective as well as a Mexican. I think for art, Kansas City has a really good development on art. It has a lot of focus on art, a lot of non-profit organizations on art, and you can exhibit in places that they won't even charge you for it. They just wanted to get artists moving, and motivate them and help them to continue with exposure and sharing, their art. It's evolving, Kansas City in the art subject per se.